Hey, what's up, YouTube? So, I haven't given you guys an update on the Sonic in a while, so I'm gonna go over that best I can. So, last year, the end of last year, I had I had a couple of issues. Um, I knew I was losing coolant, wasn't quite sure where. Um, so I pressure tested, or I put pressure in the coolant system, and pressure was dropping, but I couldn't find any leaks externally, and the car was already shimmed at that point. And so we all know with ours, the big issue with these cars is when that happens and you don't see a leak externally, like we all know, crack block. So I was like, great. I knew that I was losing coolant somewhere in the exhaust system, whether it be the combustion chamber, cylinder head, or possibly turbo. So while I had the coolant system pressurized, I pulled the downpipe off and a ton of water came out of the downpipe. The exhaust side of the turbo was soaked, the downpipe was soaked, and the reason I knew that I was losing coolant in the um, exhaust, because I've got an AEM AFR gauge in the car, and it was reading like super lean, like to the point to where it was all the way at 16, and it was just dot 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 on the gauge. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting coolant in the exhaust, and also, um, you know, it was pouring smoke out of the exhaust. Coolant is getting in the exhaust somehow. Now to figure out where. While I had pressure in the coolant system and the downpipe off, I noticed a small leak between the exhaust turbine housing as well as the center section. Granted, this was a brand new turbo, brand new eBay turbo, but still a brand new turbo. And that's not really, as far as I know, that's not really a common failure. So I was like, screw it. I pulled it off, reached out to the company on eBay. They sent me a new one, which was fantastic. Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. Company in Canada. So it's an eBay journal bearing GT35 series turbo. So, and I was like, I knew I had to address a exhaust leak between the cylinder head and the manifold. Um, so I went ahead and pulled the manifold off, and I was like, screw it. Like, I'm this far. Let's go ahead and pull the cylinder head. So pulled the cylinder head, took it to the machine shop, had them test the valves to make sure all the valves were seated. Because when I did it originally, I did a valve lash, not a lash, a valve seat, I guess you call it. It's where you take the compound and you rub the valve into the seat and it kind of wears them together. I did that, and I also had the head decked and I had it cleaned. Was using a OEM head gasket, but I was using the Victorons head studs or head bolts. So I got all that through FCP Euro. I sent the gasket back, got a new one, and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to get OEM Volvo head bolts, which are like $100 at this point. Whatever. Like, stop being cheap, Josh. It's hard. It's really hard for me not to be cheap, guys. On my car, at least. So I did all that, and now the car's back together. Well, obviously, I've got another issue. So this time around, I had a leak, a really, really bad exhaust leak. Alrighty, so I got this guy off Amazon. Basically, you put it in there, put it in the pipe, and then you pump it up. And then it's got a hole in it with a hose. I use this for smoke tester. So I got this cheap little smoke tester off Amazon. Once again, me being cheap, but this thing works great. I think it was like 50-60 bucks. It's got 2 terminals. You just plug them up to your battery. And the cool thing about Volvos is, you know, you got your battery in the back and then you got a connection up front. So what I did was I let this thing run for about 5-10 minutes. And I had smoke. It creates a horrible smelling substance. Like, pretty sure my throat was sore for a day just from it. But it was pouring smoke out between the exhaust and the center section of the turbo. One of the bolts that came loose, bolt on the very back, and I couldn't get it back. I don't know how it fell out, honestly, like, because I couldn't get it back in without having to rotate the center section. So I did that, and then smoke tested again, let it run for about 15 minutes, and it was clear up here. And I was like, all right, cool. So let's fire it up. So I fired it up just like this, and believe it or not, it will run. Not great, but it'll run. You know, good enough for me to check for an exhaust leak. And the car was, I closed the exhaust valve. So this is the same 2 1/4 dual catback system that I run, that I sell. Just instead of 2, I have a valve in place. And then when that valve closes, the car gets a lot quieter. Obviously I don't run it at wide open throttle with it closed, because 1 2 1/4 pipe is definitely not enough. Say hello to Kook. Hey Kook. Kooky is his full name. With all that done, I'm going to go ahead and throw everything back on the car. Get some coolant in it, because I had to drain the coolant to seal the turbo. Put some coolant in it, and go ahead and pressure test the coolant. Make sure I don't have any leaks back there. Make sure my AN lines are not leaking. So, got everything back together. Coolant stayed at 20 psi the entire time that I was throwing everything back on. I have a new tune to upload. Still just doing drivability. No boosting, no turbo-ness yet. So, for those of you that have never flashed your car, I'm using the S60R flash. You can use, I've got the open moose. My car doesn't like it, or I should say my dice doesn't like it as much. And then I've got Hilton as well. So there's plenty to choose from. They're all virtually the same. So you want to make sure you have your dice unit plugged in, and then USB on your computer. So take your key. Oh, and also it's a good idea to have the battery charging while you do this. It doesn't take that long, but excuse me, if your battery's not healthy, mine's brand new, so it's not really a big deal, but if your battery's not healthy, this will drain. If you don't have a charger, I do recommend turning your headlights off, just because, you know, headlights take up a little unnecessary power. So what you want to do is, on this one, you go to, so I've only got one dice listed, which is always good, because when you've got more than one listed, oh, actually it just changed. Oh, nope, still good. So connect dice, and then we're good. So before you do any flashes on your car, make sure you do read ECU first. That way you'll have your stock map, your base map, on file, and if anything ever happens and you want to go back to that, you can. So here we're going to go click flash ECU. Excuse me. And then, so for me, I've got everything listed here. And then, so 512 is my newest one. So new injectors, version 4. And then click open. Is the key in position 2, engine not running? Yes, key is in 2, the engine is not running. So that's important. I've never tried it with the engine running. I don't recommend. I don't think things will work out well in your favor. So definitely don't have your engine running. So click yes, and then leave everything alone. Do not turn your laptop off if your laptop is not charged. Make sure it's plugged in as well. Your dash is going to go dead. My headlights are still on. Oh no, they just cut off. Just kidding. So the way you know that it's flashing is your 4C buttons are all going to flash. So we'll just let this do its thing. It doesn't take long. So yeah, you guys can feel free to fast forward here if you want. So another piece of advice, I keep my dice unit in my glove box. It always stays in there. I've got a mouse in there as well. Not like a, you know, rodent, but an actual mouse for your computer. I've heard of issues with guys leaving them, you know, out in the sun, like whether it be in the seat or on the dash or what have you. But if those guys get really hot, they will fail. So we're almost done here. Everything comes back to life. And you'll have all these messages. Feel free to. Mine typically go away when I crank the car, but if they don't, there's also a service here that you can go and you can reset everything. Like I said, mine usually just go away on their own. Check engine light. With the kind of modifications that I've done in my car, I've been told that I'm probably going to just be chasing a check engine light. It does come and go, but no big deal. The only time it really matters is inspection, and then, you know, I definitely try to keep an eye on it, especially considering this car has got 230,000 miles. So, what in the world? I'm pushing all kind of buttons on this thing. Alright, so I'm gonna fire it up. I'm gonna go put you guys in the back so you can hear the exhaust. Alrighty, let's get this girl fired up. It's been a while since I've heard it without an exhaust like it, so. Alright guys, I'm gonna let it warm up, and then I'll throw a little bit of revs so you guys can hear it, and then that'll probably be it for this video. I might record for a data log, show you guys how to do that if you don't know how to do it. But other than that, I just wanted to give you guys an update on the car, so hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Yeah guys, like I was saying, that'll be it for this one. Hopefully everything is good now. I'm gonna go take it for a rip, hit, you know, a little bit of boost. It won't hit more than like 6 pounds anyway, just because we've got the wastegate duty cycle set at 0, so it won't make more than what's in the wastegate spring, and the wastegate spring is like 5-6 pounds. So I've got an AFR gauge, so, and I put a new sensor in that guy because it wasn't reading at all. So, and it seems to be reading now. So when I was getting on it just now, it was dropping to 13. So, and I made that pod. I'd like to get it 3D scanned and then 3D print them, because it's heavy. It's made of PVC and some other stuff, but it looks good. I like it, and it works. I appreciate you guys watching, and then I hope to start doing these more often with this car, because I like it, and I want to, you know, progress as much as I can with it and go do some drag racing. I know this car is not meant for drag racing, but I want to go drag racing. I've got a drag strip right next to the house, 8th mile, and I'll keep it on street tires, so it's not like I'm gonna be running slicks or anything. So go easy-ish on the launch. It's an automatic, so, and we'll see. So thanks for everybody that ordered so far this year, and especially in the past couple months, tax time. I appreciate it. You guys keep me busy, and then that way I get to do cool stuff like this, because otherwise, you know, don't get me wrong, I love building stuff for you guys, but, you know, working on my own car every now and again, you know, I gotta enjoy it too. So, but I'm gonna get those orders done, get them knocked out, get them to you guys. And again, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.